and the STLC. First, we can try to cover it up all the STLC. What are the different phases which are present? Does anyone aware what is the STLC stands for? These two concepts are very important when it comes to the software testing. You should know each and everything. This it including entire process. How we are doing, what coverage, how we are going to control the defects, everything it including step by step. This process should be aware for anyone. Listen carefully. Does anyone aware of the STLC? What?
No, bro.
Yes, bro.
Go ahead. What is the full form of STLC?
Software testing life cycle.
Yes, you are right. STLC is nothing but software testing life cycle. What are the different phases which are present in STLC that I already sent a picture in a WhatsApp, right, for
Yeah,
your reference.
yeah,
Software testing life cycle is a systematic approach to the testing of software application, and we are ensuring that it meets the requirements and is a we are going to finding the defects. The main goal of the STLC is to identify the document any defects or issues in the software application as early as possible in the development process. And especially this is going to allow us for issues to be addressed and we can resolve before the software testing released to the public. Does anyone understand the meaning of this what I said?
yeah, good.
I will tell you the one by one what are the different phases, then you will get to know. The first phase of the STLC is we are going to analyze the requirement documents. After that, the next phase of the STLC is test planning. Then the third phase, test case development. Fourth phase will be a test environment setup. Fifth phase, test execution. Sixth phase, test closure. Right now, you can just take a reference of the WhatsApp one. I'm gonna go in deep one by one. Shall we start?
Yeah, start from.
Yes. The first phase of the STLC life cycle is requirement analysis. What exactly the requirement analysis? Requirement analysis are nothing but this is the very first step of the software testing life cycle. Okay, in a phase of quality assurance team, it means that we are the quality assurance QA. Quality assurance is nothing but QA. Who is a QA? The testers are nothing but QA. Okay, requirement analysis is the very first step of the software testing life cycle. In a phase of quality assurance team, or else we can say it is a QA team, understand the requirement like what to be tested. If the analyzing the missing or understandable, the high quality of the assurance team meets with stakeholders to the better understand and detailed knowledge of the requirements. It means that we are going to understand as a part of QA team. QA is nothing but quality assurance. We are going to understand the requirement like under the requirement what we are going to do the testing. If anything is missing in the requirement document, for more understandable we are going to approach for the stakeholders are nothing but clients, or we can say it as a BA. If we needed any more clarification on the requirement document, then the activities which are including the first one, we are going to reviewing the software requirement documentation, that is the SRD document. Then also we are going to review for the BRD, business requirement document, and we are going to interviewing the stakeholders to gather the additional information. It means that if there are any other than which we are mentioning in the requirement document, for that we are going to connecting with the stakeholders, and also we are going to identifying the any ambiguities or inconsistency in the requirement. Ambiguities are nothing but if there are any same the requirement is there, we are going to doing the modification in the particular column, so and so. If there is a two columns with the same name, when you are executing a query, that error it will come, ambiguous or ambiguities. So to avoid that, we need to change into two different table, make it as a alias while joining any of the table. Then we can just rename it like by using the alias. We can take a two common table with the two different. Then the third one is identifying any missing or incomplete requirements. The last and foremost, identifying any potential risk or issues that are impacted in the testing process. Are you getting, guys? The very first phase is a requirement analysis. What we are doing, being a part of QA, we are the QAs. We are going to understand, going to read all the requirements first of all, and we are finalizing what needs to be testing in the requirement document. For that, what are the requirements which we details we are required before going to any of the analyzing the requirement. If there is anything, the documents are nothing but there is a two kind of documents. One is a BRD. BRD is nothing but business requirement document, and also another one SRD document, software requirement document. In the second phase, we are doing gathering all the additional information if there is anything apart from the which they have mentioned in the document. Is for that we are going to connect the stakeholders, and also we are going to identify the duplicate columns or is there any inconsistent data in the requirement. In the fourth one, we are checking is there anything missing or incomplete requirements which they have provided the requirement documents. If everything is there, there is no missing the requirements in the given documentation, then we are good to go for the next phase.
Yeah. Mm.
The second phase of the STLC is test planning. Test planning is the most efficient phase of the software testing lifecycle, wherein all the testing plans are defined. If this in this phase, especially for the managers of the testing and team calculating the estimation efforts and also cost of the testing work. Basically, in the test planning, the managers are going to decide they are going to how much time it is going to take the time to complete this particular requirement to complete this task and also how much cost. For example, there is a certain limitations, like there are so and so requirements which we need to complete it within a certain deadlines. For example, Ramakant is a client. I am the owner of your company. Yes, we are going to approaching for the clients. Like client is assigning some of the projects to us. This is a one requirement which we need to develop the one of the application just within a 3 months of span. This is just an example, guys. The Ramakant saying we just require one of the software development that application need to be completing within a 3 months. So for that, what I'm doing, okay, that's totally fine. This is the client requirement. I am estimating for to develop this particular application, how many resources are required, how much cost. Like if I'm assigning multiple resources, can they do it for one or two resource to complete this testing or developing the application? If I including a more than 5 to 6 people for the developing this particular application, because as we all know, when the project is received, the clients are also demanding like they will be fixing this is a budget for us to develop this, right? But it's more important how many resources which you are going, how much cost is involving, everything is going to decide in the test planning. And this test planning, when it's going to start, once the requirement gathering phase is completed, then only the test planning will comes into a picture. And also when we are doing a test planning, there is a list of objectives which we are going to identify. Firstly, identifying the testing objective and what is the scope of the objectives and also scope. Then we are thinking the what is the test strategy, what are the techniques, what is the testing method which we are going to implement for this particular project. And then third one, we are going to decide the testing environment, like the which environment we need to create a servers, right? Whether it might be a QA, dev, UAT, prod, feature prod. These are the different servers, which environment we are going to develop this particular application. Then the last one is estimation time and the cost required. Same again, how much time, as mentioned, the clients needed within the 3 months, but we can't go with the 3 months. We need to complete within this in as per our just for a client. We need to provide this application by 3 months, but part of as a project we need to complete within by 2 or 2.5 months. We can keep it a 15 days before because UAT team has to be start the testing before going live into the project. We need to make sure each and everything need to be tested. There is no defect leakage. When we are submitting this particular application to the stakeholders, there are no issues. There is no no problems or no errors when their stakeholders are users when they are using on the particular application. If anything they find difficulties, if they are not working while filling application or something in the that part which we are developing the application, getting error, that is a issue. It not to be done. We need to develop the proper application. It work as expected, as demanded by the stakeholders. Then we and also we are going to assign the roles and responsibility for the testing team. Then we are reviewing and approving the test plan. These are the steps which including in the test plan document. Are you getting, guys? I am telling it to you once again.
Yeah,
The
Venkat.
very first phase is requirement analysis. We are going to go in the each and every document like SRD and BRD documentation. If there are any additional requirements that we need to further clarification, just connecting with the stakeholders. Okay. The second phase is once the all the requirement phase is completed, then it comes to the test planning. In the test planning, the main purpose we are managers are going to do the planning. They are going to calculate the estimation efforts and what is the cost of test frame testing work it would take, each and everything that they are going to discuss under that activities which we are taking under the testing plan. The first one is we are going to identify what is the scope, what is in our scope, what is in a non-scope, out of scope and scope. Second one, developing a test strategy. Like we are selecting a testing method or like testing. There will be some approaches, right? Someone saying we can do for this approach. Someone is saying we can go with another approach. Totally, we are going to concluding what kind of approach, what we need to be deliver. Everything will be deciding in the testing plan. Then third one, we are going to identify in the which environment we are going to add this resource or this application we are developing. And the fourth one, and also we are going to identifying the test cases that need to be executed in the test data, which will be used. We can creating a test data everything. Then the fifth one, we are going to estimating the time and cost of the this particular project. Fourth one, like last one, we are going to assigning the roles and responsibility to the testing team. Then finally, the managers are reviewing and approving the test plan. Then shall we move on to the third point?
Yes, Venkat.
Third one is a test case development. Test case development is nothing but in the development phase gets started once the test planning phase prepares the required test data for the testing. When test cases are prepared, then they are reviewed by the QA team. Are you getting under the test planning now we are going to writing a test cases. Once all the test cases what we are going to execute, that needs to be reviewed by the QA team. There is some activities taking place during the test case development. Those are identifying the test cases, that will be deployed. It means, first of all, when we are going to validate or verifying particular test cases, the development has to be complete first. That logic has to be implemented. Then only we can execute. Second one, test writing the test cases that are very clear and we can very premises, we can very accurate as per the business needs. Third one is creating a test data and the test scenarios that will be used in the test cases. Test data is nothing but if you want to check the particular policy, right? We need to create a test data. For that, we are using one of the application where we can give all the requirement. As per the requirement, we are going to providing some of the data. Once the data is created, on the basis of policy number or submission number, which you are going to validate, that is called as the test data. Then we are going to identifying the expected results as per the test cases. Whatever the test case which you are writing as per the business needs, when you are validating, it should be match the expected value, what we are expecting. Suppose while creating any of the test data in a particular column, you provided a value, same value which need to be comes under the once you executed the query. That is the expected value. Then at the end, we are updating the requirement traceability matrix. Also, we can call it as RTM. Is it clear for everyone? Guys, please say yes or no.
Venkataya, Venkataya.
If you guys are not getting it, like I instead of going there, I can just summarize what is the test environment, like what is a test case development, test planning, requirement analysis. My suggestion to go in deep while explaining anything, just highlight it and like in a single line. If somebody asks you in detail, then start explaining each and everything. Are you getting?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. The fourth phase of the STLC is test environment setup. The test environment setup is a vital part of the STLC. Basically, the test environment decides the conditions on which software is testing. If this is an independent activity, then they can start along with the test case development. In this process, the testing team is not involved, either the developer or customer creators testing environment. Basically, this environment is going to decide by the technical architect which environment which we are going to decide it. Either developer or once they are decided, then it comes to picture for the developer. They are start developing it for the particular project. Once the development is completed, like coding is completed, then our tester will comes into a picture because we need to do the testing whatever they are developed. Is it clear? Then the fifth part or fifth phase of STLC, I can say that test execution. This is a very vital. Once the development of the testing environment is set up, like the coding is done, they are provided a particular environment like everything, server, databases. Then we are going to executing those test cases. In the phase of testing team, we are start doing the execution basis on the what we are prepared for the test cases in an earlier step, which we are creating a test data. Same when you are executing, expected the value is same. Whatever the value which you are intended by creating a test data, we are expecting the same value after the execution of the query. There are different activities. One while testing execution, script creating, test design stage are run against the software application. Identify if there are any mismatches. Then we are going to logging a defect as I discussed yesterday class. Then we are preparing a test data preparation. Test data preparation loading the system into the test execution. Test environment setup, necessary hardware or software, and also we can call it as the network configurations are need to be testing for the execution. Test execution is nothing but the test cases and the scripts which we are prepared that we are going to run. like as I mentioned, once the defect is logged, if anything is fixed, then we are going to do the defect retesting. Is it clear? The last and foremost, the test closure. The last phase of the SDLC is test closure. Test closure is the final stage of software testing lifecycle where all the testing related activities are completed, and we are preparing a documented. Everything we need to be documented. Like when we have started the testing, how many test cases you are written, among those how much test cases are passed, how many are failed. We need to provide each and every information need to be documented. That is a test closure. The main purpose of test closure is like we are ensuring that all the testing related activities has been completed. It is that this particular software is ready to release. Are you getting?
Uh, Hello.
Yes, Akil.
Yes, yes, yeah, I'm
Yeah,
getting.
I'm repeating it again. Test closure is nothing but this is the final stage of STLC phase wherein all the test cases, sorry, wherein all the testing related activities are completed. Then we are going to document each and every step, it including the number of test cases which you are prepared, which environment you are picking for our testing, and how many test cases are passed, how many are failed, and the required screenshot for the proofs, each and everything which we need to document it. The main purpose of test closure is we are going to ensuring it is completed, related to testing related all the activities. One, then this particular software is ready to release for the production, they can use directly use for the customers, end users. Is it clear for everyone?
Yes, bro.
Shall I put it on a high level now? We can just recall it. What is the different phases? I can say there are six phases in the STLC life cycle. The
Yeah.
first one is the requirement analysis, where we can go all the documentation as per the as clients are stakeholders, which they have mentioned what they need for the requirements. Right. In the testing plan, we are going to decide what is the cost of that project and what is the time, efforts, how many resources, each and everything that we are going in the testing test planning. Test case development is nothing but where we can create or creating a test data. We can add the test cases according to the business need. Then the testing environment setup is nothing but where the particular stage architect is deciding which particular environment which we are going to test this particular project. They are going to set up our environment, and also once the environment is ready, then the developer is going to start working on the coding part. He is going to develop as per the client need. Once the development phase is completed, then it comes to the QA. That was the test execution. We are going to execute each and every test cases which we created for the test data as per the business requirement. The final part is test closure. Test closure is nothing but where we can document it each and every work which is including in the part of this particular project execution. It includes test cases, pass, results, fail, how many defects which you log, like all the required proofs, everything. Clear?
Yeah, please. You know like that.
Any doubt? Anybody having any doubt?
No doubts, Venkateshna. Fine.
Others, what about others?
No, bro, no doubt, bro.
Okay. Shall we move on to the SDLC now?
Yeah, yeah.
These six elements which are concluding the SDLC. Now we are moving into the SDLC. What is the full form of SDLC?
Software develop.
Sorry,
No, no,
software
SDLC.
testing is STLC. Now we are
Software
discussing about,
development life cycle.
yes. Here also there are six phases. We can discuss one by one. The first phase of the SDLC is there was a planning and the requirement analysis. The second phase of the SDLC is defining the requirement. Then third one is designing the architect. Fourth one is developing a product. Fifth one is product testing and integration. Sixth one is deployment and the maintenance product. I can go one by one, okay? The very first one is this is similar kind of most of the process which is common, which we are discuss about the STLC. There might be like ups and downs. Like it's not in a sequence. There might be a slight difference when it comes to the STLC and the STLC. Shall we go on to the very first phase of the STLC? That was the planning and the requirement analysis.
Yeah, Venkat.
When it comes to the planning of any particular project is very crucial, right? Because just in a software development, we like what I can say. The planning is nothing but it is going to like defining the project scope. What is the scope which is present in this particular project? Then test objectives and goals. What are the environment, like what kind of work which you are doing, what environment, like tools which we are going to use for this particular project, how many resources, like setting the goals and the objectives. The next one. Then third one is resource planning. These are the planning. How the planning are done. The first phase is defining the project scope. Then the second one is like set the objectives and the goals. Third one is we are resource planning. How many resources which we can place. Are you getting my point?
Yeah, Venkat.
I'm repeating it again. The first phase of SDLC is planning. Planning including defining the project scope. Like for example, how many requirements? What is the need of customer, right? This particular project. Everything. What is the scope of the work which is present in this particular project that we are going to define? Then second, we are going to set the objectives and the goals. The goals are nothing but the deadlines which we need to complete within the deadlines given time. Objectives are nothing but we are deciding the environments and the servers details and it including everything. Third one, number of resources. How many resources which we can align for this particular resource. Clear? The planning.
Yes,
Third,
ma'am.
second one is second phase of SDLC is defining the requirements. How we are defining, we can define whether functional requirements or technical requirement, requirement review, and then we can get it for the approvals. Like all the requirements for the softwares are specified. These requirements get it approved from the customers, market analyst, and also stakeholders. This fulfilling the utilizing the SRS means nothing but software requirement specification that need to be defined and created during the entire project. That was the first one. How many requirements which are present? Those are either functional requirements or technical requirements. Functional requirements are nothing but if this particular project having a one application, how the functionality will change. If you are creating a one transaction, on top of it you are doing another transaction, what kind of changes which you're doing for the field wise in the application level. Technical requirements are nothing but the logics which you are including in the particular scope of work and how we are testing in a DB level. These things we need to review and get it approved by the stakeholders, customers. Clear? Third one, we are defining the architecture. Architecture is the thing what how we are going to define this particular project. Whether we are going to decide whether this is among those there are 10 requirements, right? For example, the 10 required among those, how many are the low level and how many are the high level? Depending upon that, we are going to build the architecture. Are you getting my point?
Yes.
The fourth one is uh, deploying a product. Deploying a product are nothing but once, if the coding is done from the developer, that entire coding is going to deploy into the one of the environment which they are decided for the architect. Uh, I can say it as a coding standard. Then we can move it in the scalable code, then the version controlling in the code review. It means that coding standard, because if any of the application there is a particular languages which we are taking or particular codes, according to that we need to develop. The second one, scalable codes are nothing but what we can say, the languages which you can either you can use it as a C, C++, Python, Java, etc. And also we need to maintain the version, like how many codes which you are going to deploy with a particular environment. uh, how many a number of, because of sometimes what we can do, one single requirement they are going to design one particular code. Similarly for each and every requirement there are 10. Some is depending upon the structure how they are decided. If you want to go all the 10 requirements into one go, then deploying into the one code into the what you can say, development, then we are going to deploying the code. If not, depending upon the project and the leads architects they are decided, we can go one by one requirements as well, all in once. Then the fifth one is product testing and the integration. Here we were deciding the system testing. From there whether how many which we can go for the manual testing, then how much which you are feasible for the automation testing. These kind of things which we are going to deciding on the development phase. Among 10 require how much we can go, like very few things, like among those 10, the like 6 to 7 fields are like very fixed commerce things that we can directly automate it, we can just execute whenever we want it. Few things which we keep on changing, like if there is any new columns, a new entry added, like row number keep on changing, those kind of things that we can manually validate it as well. Then the sixth one is deployment and the maintenance of the product. It including what I can say, detailed testing, I can say, conclusion of the product. Uh, in a better way, how can I explain this? See, I can say deployment and the maintenance of the product is nothing but once the requirement, right? Once the coding is done, we are going to deploy into a particular environment. Each and everything related for the testing, after all the detail of the testing which we needed, which they are done, then we are going to give the conclusion of this particular project of, I can say, product is released in a phases as for the company strategy which they are done for the in a planning or like, strategy, like very first stage, right? They are decided how we can go this project, each and everything that they are done depending upon the resources, time, cost, including the tools which they are required, these kind of things which are included. Is it clear?
Yeah.
Like same thing, right? We are doing a, when the STLC we are doing a execution. Here also we are doing a testing and analysis for the requirement is same, defining. Then the design document is nothing but where we can develop each and everything. The planning is the only the one thing which is excluding here, and the deployment. The wording is different, but the process almost is same compared to the STLC and STLC. If you guys are wanted, I'm gonna send you a few references that you can just refer on that particular links. You will get it in detail. When you are attending the interview, the interview might ask you the few questions. What is the phases which are including in the STLC and STLC? You can just explain when it comes to the STLC. There are six phases. One is the requirement analysis, then the test planning. Third one is the test case development, then the execution, sorry, test environment setup, then execution, then you can say test closure. Similarly, when it comes to the SDLC, you can say planning, then the defining, then thereafter we can go for the design, then the building, then we can go for testing and the deployment. Don't go in depth, you can just highlight all the phases. If they want it, then you can explain just in a one word. Is it clear?
Yeah, Venkat.
I have one question, guys. When the testing process starts, actually.
While coming the requirement, then only we can start the testing. Because once will be development coming, after the only requirement function is checking or not whether it is going to manual testing.
Yes, you are right. When the testing process starts, mean like after once we are done the requirement analysis, then we are writing the test cases, then reviewing the test cases, get it approved by the QA leads or any from the QA team member. Uh, then after coding, development of the coding, right?
Yeah,
Actual testing starts after the coding, executing the test cases. The basically first thing is analyzing a requirement document. As per the requirement, we are writing a test cases. Those test cases we need to get it review and get approved. Then the what we can say the coding is done by the developer. Once they are deployed into our environment, once the build is ready, then when there it comes to the QA role, they're executing the test cases.
yeah,
That time we can call it as a actual testing starts once that is a coding is done. Execution part is the testing process.
yeah.
What is the BRD document?
Business development requirement.
Business development. No.
Business requirement.
Yes. What are the information is including in the BRD document?
The BRA means is suppose we have to anyone like a middle to any add functions like business. We have to improve the quality like that type of the using for business specifications test cases.
Basically, BRD is business requirement document that including each and everything. What is the scope of work, right? Like for example, if they the I can say, take it as a one example as a ongoing project. Okay, I'm taking a one example as a one particular report. That particular report having around 20 columns. Among those 20, they are making a changes. The changing the logics are like doing the additional mapping for among those two columns. They need to mention each and everything. What is the effective date? Is there any cutoff dates? What is the condition? What kind of transaction it needs to be flow for this particular column? If there is any additional logic which they are including in the like changes in the two fields, right? Those columns, each and everything is very clear description that need to be mentioned in the BRD document. According to that BRD, we are creating a test cases, then we are updating the scripts, then we are executing. If while executing, if we find any issues, then we are going to straight away raising the bugs to the developer, whoever is done the development. Is it clear?
Yeah. Yeah.
I have one more question. When you guys are say that you have done a good testing,
While going,
After retesting, we after retesting we didn't get a bug. And
okay, interviewer might ask this kind of questions as well. How can you say that you have done the good testing, right? When you're going to stop the testing, you guys can say the test case is completed with a certain percentage pass. For example, if there are 100 test cases which you are created, among those around 95 to 98 are passed, two are failed. Then the coverage of functionality, the test cases which including both the positive and negative test cases, and also whatever the findings like bugs or issues, right? That the rate of bugs below certain level, there'd be like scope. The UAT is less than 5%, production is less than 1%. Then we can take it as a this is a very good. You have done the very good testing. How they are going to calculate? For example, this you know the rating of the bug, right? Once you as a tester, if you are testing with any particular build or any particular requirements, there is a 10 requirements. Among those, you find only the two bugs that you are reporting to the developer. The same testing, or they are after QA, they are picking from one more team, that is a UAT team. UAT is nothing but user acceptance test. That particular team, they are going to pick the same entire work. If they find more than two, they might rise other bugs rather than which you are done. Which means that our bug rate count will be decreasing. Are you getting, guys?
it's bro.
Any doubt for today's topic?
no doubts, Venkat.
Okay, please just go through these concepts. Like or else you can just search anyway. Like no worries, I can just send you the references. Okay, you can just go through the document
Oh, yeah, Venkat. Tomorrow, what topic I can tell?
tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
It's up to you guys. Which one you want to? Tomorrow, can we discuss about the agile methodology? That was also very important. How what are the topics which are under the agile? What we need to be deciding.
Okay, okay, bro.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you guys. Thanks for
Okay.
joining.
Okay. Thank you. Bye. Bye. Yeah.
Bro, when will be sending the reference notes, bro?
Right away. Just send me the
Okay,
results.
then.
Praveen.
It includes all the topic till now, only apart from SQL.
No, no. The today's topic, no, which I discussed, I'm sending you the same reference.
Okay, fine. I'm not asking that, bro. Actually, yesterday you have tell us that you do
Yeah,
have
yeah.
a
I have one
hard
hard
copy.
copy. I didn't get a
Yes.
chance to convert that in a soft copy. I will do it and send it to you guys.
If not
Praveen.
possible, I'll come and I'll collect, bro.
I'm just traveled back to my native today. I'll be there until around 1 week to 10 days.
Oh,
There is an
okay,
event
okay,
at
fine, bro.
home. Post that like
Okay,
once.
okay.
Yeah, could you please send a reference also? No problem. Like any
Sure.
links are there.
Guys,
Could you please
and
share?
also no, once I'm Bangalore, I will tell you guys if you require. I have some of the hard copies as well. You
Yeah.
guys come